Hello, friendships, and welcome to the We Are Growing podcast. I'm your host, Ava Medina, and I am so excited to welcome you to episode 7 of season 1. Thank you so much for sticking around if you have been a continuous listener, or welcome to the show if you are new here. Either way, I am so excited to have you, so excited to give you my knowledge, to bring you into our cozy, comfortable community. We are all about growth in a self compassionate, safe space. We are all about being our best selves. So, welcome. And I know that we were on the edge of our seats last time we spoke, wasn't quite sure what the theme would be for this mini series. This season 1 is 12 episodes long, and every 3 episodes, we have a central theme that we talk about. And the theme for this mini series here that we're starting with episode 7 to episode 9 is all about the authentic self. So it is just all about you, as everything should be, just about you and what makes you unique and what feels authentic, what is your best life. Because I know a lot of times we will have those questions of like, I don't know what makes me happy or what gives me purpose or what feels meaningful, what even is me authentically. So this is what this episode and this mini series is meant to do, just give you questions to ruminate on. As always, it is a personal essay style podcast. I am just giving my experiences to you so that hopefully they can spark something within you. They can start your own journey or enlighten your journey. Just any meaning, any value that I can give on to you. That's really what this is about. So I am so excited for you to join us here. If you haven't listened to other episodes, definitely go back. Our first mini series was all about change and goals and just getting through change. And our second one was all about self-compassion because it is so essential to growth. So I hope this authentic self series is everything you're needing right now while we are a good portion of the way through February, which is so scary to say, but I know that we're all killing it. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're just growing as a person, you're killing it. I promise. All right, let us go through the episode. Of course, we're going to be covering 3 main topics, and I'll just lead you through them as we go. So, are you ready to explore episode 7? It is all about exploring your authentic self, getting curious, finding happiness, and discovering values. Let's get into it. First, we're going to start where we are. And that is, if you have been listening, that is where we always start because there's nowhere else to start. We have to start exactly where we are. And in that, it is all about getting curious about yourself. You are so amazing. Also, disclaimer, get used to hearing that a lot in this episode because it is true and it'll be said frequently. You are amazing. You are such a diverse, unique individual. You have so many facets. You are endlessly fascinating. Endlessly. It is a shame that more people cannot enjoy what it is to be inside of your head, to feel your feelings, to be your person, that we cannot share that experience with more people because each of us is just our own little universe of amazing contradictions and soft and rough and all the things. We are so amazing. And so the first thing I need you to do is get curious about yourself. You're an amazing person. I promise you, even if you feel like you're the most boring person in the world, you are not. You are fascinating. The way that your mind thinks, the way that you perceive the world, your reality, your journey, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, even the foods you like pairing together. Everything about you is unique and fascinating, endlessly fascinated. I am never more fascinated by someone than by myself and just the way that I navigate life and the way that I have grown into myself and from where I was to where I am now. And I'm still discovering so many different parts of me and so many different facets. You take my word for it. You are amazing. You are endlessly fascinating. And so, what I need you to do is realize that and get curious about yourself, about your likes and your dislikes, especially if you cannot answer the question, what do you like or what makes you happy or what brings you joy? I need you to get curious about yourself. What do you like? What do you dislike? Why do you like that food? Why do you dislike this food? Do you like being in crowded places? Do you like being alone? Do you like adventure? Do you like solitude? Do you like reading? Do you like writing? Do you like visuals more? Everything is fascinating about you. And that is what you need to do with yourself. You need to just ask yourself questions about the most mundane things. I'm suddenly realizing I have 50 pairs of shoes. Do I love shoes? Do I love a specific kind of shoes? Do I love boots more than heels? Is there a reason? Everything about you is fascinating. So get to know yourself, spend time with yourself, and then just become attuned to what interests you. It is so fascinating to just sit down and go, I have no one else, no other expectations I need to meet. I'm not meeting someone somewhere. I don't have to plan an event around someone's dislikes or likes. I just get to tell myself, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What would bring me joy in this moment of free time that I have to go do? Do I want to go to an art museum? Do I want to go to a gallery? Do I want to go to a cafe? Do I want to go to a park? Do I want to go to a music event? What do I want to do? Why? And then go do that. Whatever strikes your fancy in that moment. I would just want to go eat out by myself and be able to like pick an appetizer that I don't have to share with the table. It could be as simple as that. Go do that. And go have joy. Go discover that you actually like the calamari appetizer that you were never able to get because other people in your house or that you go out with don't like fishy things. And you're just like, I never realized I liked calamari. It just because I had never tried it before, because I had never gone out to go do that. So do that. Take yourself out on dates. Ask yourself what you like. Have a moment of peace where you're not accountable to anybody or anything and go, what do you want to do? Or set up those times. Set up an appointment at a yoga studio because you have been wanting to check out yoga since you heard about it because you think it would be this really interesting thing, or Pilates because it's all over the internet. So you're like, I want to go do that. Book an hour. Go book a class and show up and know that for the next hour or hour and a half, however long that class is, you are under no obligations to do anything or satisfy anyone or think about anything except what you're doing right now. There's so many events. There should be like sip and paints where you're like, I want to try out painting something creative I've never done before. Go do that. Always keep another way that I love to do this is to keep growing. As you grow as a person, as you mature, as you gain mental resilience and emotional intelligence, as you just evolve into the best version of yourself, this crazy thing starts happening. At least it's happened for me, where you suddenly realize, like you start rewriting your own history. You suddenly realize that your obsession with money might have come from, a disadvantageous childhood, may have come from this event one time in your life where you had to like live in your car. It might have come from so many different places. You start suddenly realizing, oh my God, this weird tic or this weird obsession or this weird like anger, depression, anxiety phase I went through my life, like maybe it came from this. As you just keep growing and keep evolving, you're like, I was never able to get over the mindset of this obsession to actually go pursue the thing I love. And you suddenly realize it and you go, oh my God, that's where it is. That's where it came from. It came from this memory or this experience or this childhood thing. And then you get to rewrite that because you're still in the middle of your journey. You're still in the middle of your main character arc. You are still in the middle of living life, regardless of your age. You are living your life. You are writing it right now. And so it is never too late to rewrite your history. Because that thing happened and it affected your mental health for a while. That was, the beginning phase. That was the middle phase. And now we're at the third phase where we get to realize that that was impacting us negatively. We've grown from it. And now we're doing better. Now we're going forth to chase the thing that we couldn't before because our mindset just wouldn't let us, because we had to grow into the person that can do the thing we love. That is, this might be the most wildest concept that I've come to like realize is sometimes life gives you the hard things because you have to grow through the hard times to become the person that can hold on to your best life. Like, has it ever occurred to you that if your best life were to hit you now while you're still trying to grow into your person, or maybe a few years prior where you were like absolutely feral. Imagine if your dream life had kind of like dropped in your lap. You wouldn't have known how to deal with it. It would have been a catastrophe. The you at that time hadn't gone through the growth that was needed in order to appreciate and nurture and love your best life. It's the same thing with therapy. Like, you don't go to therapy so you can continue to live in a toxic environment. You go to therapy to heal what the toxic environment did to you so you can learn to live in a happy one. So that living in a toxic free environment doesn't cause you anxiety because you don't understand the environment. You understand? Like, you need to grow into the person that's capable of holding on to all of your hopes and dreams. If like all of that, it's like money. Like, if you've never built up to your millions, if like a million just dropped in your lap, you would probably go a little bit crazy. There are some of us who would be able to rebound pretty quick, steep learning curve and just be able to like learn. But a lot of us would just spend it all because we haven't adapted the skills to be able to hold on to that amount of money. Just like we haven't learned the skills yet to hold on to our best life, to what positivity and peace and tranquility feels like. A lot of us live in stress and anxiety and just like deadlines. So if you had to counter that, you kind of wouldn't know how to do that unless you took baby steps to get there. You would kind of just like stop. You would fall way off the wagon. You would feel like you were doing nothing or going nowhere, or you would implode it all. We need to grow through the challenges to be the person that can hold on to our best life. And so grow. Constantly keep growing, constantly keep rewriting your history. It's like discovering new things about yourself. You are an endless puzzle. You are an endless enigma. My apologies. You are fascinating. Go out there, discover things, everything about yourself. You will keep finding new things. You will keep peeling layers back of your reactions or the way that you did things, or tics or obsessions or idiosyncrasies. You will keep uncovering what wrote that code, like what part of your history had a little part in creating the person that you are, and then you get to pick and choose. So it's all about getting curious about yourself. I promise you, you're the most interesting person in the world. And to yourself, you should be the most interesting person because you get to be on the sideline, front and center, for all of your thoughts and all of your actions and all of the ways that you can contradict yourself and still live life, the way that you can like hot and spicy and sweet and all these different things, the way that you can navigate situations and lives and hardships, the way that you can persevere. I can't say it enough. You are amazing. You are so fascinating. And I need you to see that about yourself. I need you to get curious about yourself, about why you do the things you do, why you like the things you do. Why are you more stimulated by visuals than by reading, or vice versa, by reading more than visuals? I am someone who does not watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of movies. Visuals are not what appeal to me, but I can get lost in a book. I can read books for days. I have read and stayed up for multiple days on end reading a series because until the words were crossed, until I literally couldn't read anymore. Isn't that so fascinating? I was someone who would actively go to bed the next day at like noon and sleep until 9 o'clock of that day to stay up all night reading, to do it again, to go to bed at noon of the next day. And now I'm someone who easily goes to bed at 9 o'clock and wakes up at 5 a.m. Isn't that so fascinating? I find it so fascinating. I am someone who was never athletic as a child, whose best friend did a lot of dance. And so she would drag me to a lot of dance, and I did a lot of dance and I hated it. And now I am someone who does dance like as my love, as my sport, as the thing that brings me joy. And that is so fascinating to me, the way that I grew, the way that I needed to find my specific type of dance, the one that would make me happy. She did a lot of dance on the ground. I do it a lot in like aerial apparatuses. Isn't that fascinating? And it's okay if it's not fascinating to you. That's what it is. You should be fascinating to you. Just like your partner is fascinating, or your parent, or your child, or your pet, the way that you are endlessly fascinated by them. You are amazing. Be curious about yourself, about what makes you tick and what makes you light up. And that will take us into point 2, actually, which is defining what makes you happy. I ask so many people, I'm like, go do something that makes you happy, especially when they're feeling sad. And they're just like, I don't know what makes me happy. And that is so sad. That is like genuinely non-sarcastically, that is so sad that you have lived on this life for 25, 26, 30, 35, 40 years and you don't know what makes you happy. Like if I ask you, hey, what could I do to cheer you up? You don't know the answer. Isn't that sad? Because I bet you could answer that question about someone else. I bet if I asked you, okay, well, what about your partner or your parent or your sibling or your friend? Like, what if they were sad? How would you make them happy? You could probably answer. But if you can't answer that about yourself, you're doing yourself such a disservice that you're not using your capacity and your compassion for yourself. So I'm going to need you to find what excites you. I'm going to need you to go and find joy. Okay? And how you're going to do this? So easy. It's one of my favorite things to do is go out and try new things. All the new things, anything that sounds fascinating to you. And you can start if you want. You're like, well, I need a basis or something like, like breathing sounds fascinating. I'm doing it right now. If you need a starting point, think back to when you were a child. What brought you joy? Was it playing in the jungle gym? Because there are obstacle courses for adults. Go find one. Go do it. Find joy. What brought you joy as a child? Was it like music class and playing instruments? Pick one up. Try and learn one. You are never too old or too young or anything to do anything. There are some exceptions, obviously, but you can still do the thing. Go learn. Go learn an instrument. If your joy came from collecting horse cards, I did that as a kid, like unicorn and horse cards. See if you are good at drawing, or see if you love horses, or just see where that can take you. Nothing has to be straightforward. If you loved obstacle courses or like playing on the jungle gym as a kid, but like the obstacle courses weren't your thing, try joining a sport. Like Frisbee, try doing Frisbee or freeze tag, or like the one where you capture the flag, I think. Try something out. Maybe that meant that you loved being physical, or maybe you just loved being outside. Go hiking, go canoeing, go do something outside, connect in nature. Find and go try things, anything that excites you. You have my permission, not that you need it, to go do that. You give yourself permission to go just enjoy life. Go choose something that sounds interesting and go do it and see if you like it. And maybe you didn't, but you tried it. So now you try again. You try something else. You need to, by stepping outside of your comfort zone, you'll find something that resonates with you, because your comfort zone right now, it's limited. It's things that are familiar. But if you cannot identify readily what makes you happy or what excites you, that means your comfort zone is too small. You need to go out and find joy. And it doesn't matter if you're bad at it. It doesn't matter if your joy is playing the cello or the flute and you suck at it and you're just really bad and it's kind of screechy. Because how do you think that you get good? Repetition. Everything is a skill. If cooking is what sets you alight and brings you joy, it doesn't matter if you burn everything or you overcook everything. How do you think that you get better? You keep doing it. Repetition, the amount of practice you can get in, is more important than the length of time you're doing it. So just do it as often as you can. If you want to be good at something, just put in the work to get good. It's repetition. Some things will come a little bit more innately. Some people will just have a better palate than others. And so cooking will come a little bit more innate to them. That's okay. But also, if something comes a little bit more innate to you, it doesn't mean that you're obligated to do that. You understand? Like you could innately be good with words and good at writing. I am. But the process of writing is arduous. It is awful. I dislike it so much. The actual art, the actual process of writing is so difficult for me that I was like, okay, there has to be something else to this. I kind of like the storytelling aspect, but I don't like actually writing. How can I harness this in a way that I still do the part that brings me joy, but cut out the part that is causing me stress, that is overwhelming me and not what I want to be doing? You know? And in that same way, if you love cooking, but actually, like if you love food and good food, but the actual cooking part of cooking is what kills you, maybe you just want to be a really good foodie. You want to go out and explore restaurants that are new and interesting and fusions of stuff so that you can try the best food and the most delicious food. And maybe you want to share that with other people because you have a good palate and you love food and you love eating new foods. So why not share that with the world? Tell them where the good food is. Tell them what's amazing and why it's amazing. You understand? Like everything is bits and pieces, and that's what the fascinating part about you is, because you love this thing. We could both love writing for two entirely different reasons. You could actually love the writing part, putting words on paper, and I could just love the storytelling aspect. So maybe I go into public speaking because that allows me to weave a story in a way that is more in tune with what brings me joy than actually putting words on paper. You understand? So that's where the part of you comes in, trying new things and being curious about what parts of those things light you up, and then keep doing it. Aligning your life, your daily life with happiness. I feel like I don't have to say it, but I'll say it in case you need to hear it. Okay. But aligning your daily life with happiness leads to greater energy, motivation, purpose, meaning, longevity. There are many studies that prove this. And the main point here is like, why, if you could go through life being happy and filled with joy, why would you choose to not be? You understand? And actually, that'll get me into a really good sub point here in this second point, which is to let go of the guilt of prioritizing joy. And I know that this sounds really weird, but I experienced this very much so, where I thought that I was failing, kind of like as an adult, like that if I wasn't suffering, I wasn't a true, I'm going to put this in quotation marks, I wasn't a true adult if I wasn't suffering. Because that's how everybody portrays it. The media, anyone you talk to, people are miserable, they're unhappy, and they're living their life, and they're trying to sell you this narrative that that's normal. Actually, that's the way it's supposed to be. If you are experiencing joy in your day-to-day adult life, that means that you are likely, like, how do I put this? Like, you are slack off. You are someone who is not doing what they should be doing. You're shirking your responsibilities to go gallivanting around, prioritizing your joy. It's selfish. You're at the cost of like other people around you having to support you, And it's that kind of thing that like, if you're pursuing your own happiness, like a lot of the arts, that you're kind of just messing around, like eventually you're going to have to settle down, putting this in quotation marks, and get a real job, that if you are prioritizing your joy, that somehow you are being selfish, and that's not necessary for a meaningful life. Everybody has sacrifices. Everybody has to sacrifice their joy at some point to like sit down and be an adult. Again, all of that in quotation marks, because that's what you have to let go of. It's that negative narrative, that negative mindset that we're being weak if we can't suffer enough. Like if we can't handle the suffering of a 9 to 5, of an 8 to 6, if we can't suffer through that, then we're not an actual adult. We're shirking our responsibilities. We're just gallivanting about through life, and we're not actually being an adult. I got that feeling, and it's reinforced by everybody, by our capitalist society, by friends, families, teachers, coworkers, employers, everybody. Everybody, and they don't even mean to sometimes. It's the narrative that they were fed. It's the narrative we all get fed. But it doesn't have to be that way. You don't get a sticker at the end of your life saying, congrats, you did it the hard way. You did the hard route. You suffered more than anyone else suffered, and you did all the hard things, and here's your sticker. Nobody gets a sticker. Nobody gets a sticker. So why are you doing the hard thing? Why are you making life so much harder? Why are you at a job that you hate and you're miserable, or in a toxic relationship, or in a toxic work environment? Why are you continuously doing things that shrink your soul, that don't make you happy, when you could be prioritizing your happiness in a way that still aligns with the responsibilities you need to cover as an adult? Like, you can have a job that brings you joy. We all need a job at this point. It's kind of inevitable, but you can do one that brings you joy, that is in line with something you want to do. If you enjoy the arts and you are a writer, you write for an article, a magazine, why can't you write for a magazine that covers the arts? Or why can't you write your own articles on your own time and post them on a blog about the arts? Why can't you incorporate more joy in your life? And that's what you kind of have to let go of, that false negative, that false narrative that if you are being happy, or if you're pursuing happiness, or if you're happy at all, then you're not doing it right. You need to be miserable in order to be a functioning member of society. That is such a lie. That is such a lie. And I want you to tell yourself that that's a lie when you go, I can't do something that brings me happy because it's not being proper. No, that's a lie. It's a false narrative, and we need to just let go of it. And in that same vein, will take us into our point number 3, which is discovering and living by your own values, okay? Because this comes down to a narrative, a false narrative built on false values and beliefs. Do you believe that you need to be miserable to be a functioning adult? Do you believe that misery is a core value of your life? Because if you do, then man, I can't help you, you know? I'm kind of wondering why you're even listening to this podcast, but I really can't help you. If you feel that misery is a core value that you need to live by, or suffering is a core value, or humility, or just like any of those, I'm not your gal. I'm not the person that's going to tell you that that's correct. I'm sure there are plenty of people online that you could find, but I'm sure not one of them at all. Okay? Because you need to identify what your core values are. Okay. Is it to live freely? Is it to live with joy? Is it to live with purpose? Is it for yourself, for the greater good? Is it about what matters to you and the people around you and for your community? You get to decide what your core values are. You get to decide if happiness and freedom and choice and fairness, equality, liberty, if these are values, core values that you want to live by. And then you also get to choose how you live those values out in your life. Because no one can tell you, oh, well, if you stand for justice and equality and liberty, why aren't you out there on the front lines doing this and doing that? And that might not be where my purpose is. And that's okay. I'm not going to feel guilty because that just wasn't my calling. Like it wasn't for a long time, I thought I was going to be a journalist. It's not my calling. It's not what brought me joy, but I can still make an impact on the world. I can still abide by my core values of freedom and choice and justice by speaking out in a different venue, on a different platform with a different audience. I can do it in the way that fits me and my core values. So don't let anyone guilt you into thinking what your core values are, that this needs to be one of them. Okay, hard work and suffering. And then don't let them tell you, well, okay, if this is a core value of yours, integrity and honesty, well, why aren't you doing this or why aren't you doing that? Because I get to choose what my life looks like. It's my life. You get to choose what yours looks like. That's why it's your life. We all get autonomy and agency. So I want you to identify what your core values are, whatever that looks like to you. And then I want you to reflect on what truly matters to you, you know? Is it a life's purpose and little itty bitty purposes? It doesn't have to be super big, huge, one purpose in life. It's all little. It's all little things, little purpose, a sense of community, of home, of place. You can find purpose. You can build purpose everywhere in your life, in your day to day, so that every moment you spend is meaningful to you. If spending time with your family, with your community, with your support network, with friends, with engaging with people online so that they know someone out there has gone through what they're going through and they can get through what they're going through. That all is up to you. If that's what matters to you, if that's how you want to engage with your values, then do it. And your values can be career oriented, family. I would definitely pick more than one. I would never, like you need multiple diverse core values. You understand? And what truly matters to you could be like your career, building a business that touches individuals and makes a difference in the world. Your family, making sure that they are supported and that they can achieve their dreams and that they have a safe space. It could be travel to show people the freedom of choice in other cultures. It could be freedom, the freedom to live here or live there or just live your life however you want. You get to define what matters to you. And I encourage you to differentiate what maybe are societal expectations that you have as core values versus what your personal belief are. A lot of those can take the forms of like having kids. Is that actually a core value of you to have children, or is that a societal expectation? You know, having the 9 to 5 career, is that a societal expectation or is that a personal belief? You know, a lot of people feel scared to try and be an entrepreneur or build their own business. And they believe, you know, that this 9 to 5, 8 to 6 career is the way to go. But is that your value or is that someone else's value? Going to college and getting a degree, again, is that societal value, familial values, or is that yours? Do you believe a higher education or just love education in general? I know I did. That's why I pursued mine. It just is what is personal for you. I had a lot of family members who went to college and there was like, you know what, education and getting this degree, that's not really a value of mine. I don't feel that that is necessary in my life. And so they didn't pursue college very seriously. They kind of just, you know, left. And if that is you, that is fine. I so want to stress this. Every answer is correct. Every answer is correct. As long as the answer is not maliciously hurting other people, every answer is correct. However you want to live life, whatever matters to you, whatever your core values are, that is the right answer because it's the only answer. It's your answer. And you want to align once you can identify your actions, like your values, once you can identify your values, you can align your actions with your values. Suddenly, it becomes so much easier to spend time with your family because familial interactions and that sense of community are one of your core values. So now spending time with family is easy. It's a no-brainer. It's something you have to think about or like teeter-totter on. It just is. It's easy now. Or maybe you want to build your own business so you can bring value to others. You can explore a sense of purpose by giving other people value and letting them know, sharing experiences with others. So now it's easy to pursue a business, to build a business. You don't have to think about, well, I should really do the security of a 8 to 6 job and maybe, you know, pursuing my own business is scary and tough, but it aligns with your value. So pursue it, do it. It becomes so much easier. And every decision that you make will reflect those priorities. Once you start to encompass them in all of your actions, then now your decisions reflect your priorities. It becomes easier to do those things that you've identified as values. It becomes easier to go, no, I'm not going to do this thing because it compromises my integrity. It compromises my ability to spend time with my family, which is a core value of mine. It compromises this. I don't really feel like this is worth giving up. You know, I can't do overtime. Sorry, I'm spending, you know, Christmas with my family, so I can't be in town to do this work. It's just Not going to happen. And then it lets you let go. Oh my God, something so pivotal about this is it lets you let go of habits and commitments that no longer work for you. Because if you want to prioritize yourself, if prioritizing your needs is a core value of yours or your family's or other things, suddenly when someone asks for all of your time and effort on this something that doesn't even matter to you, you can go, yeah, no, that doesn't really work for me. Or you can let go of bad habits because instead of doom scrolling on your phone, which again, if you want to, and that brings you joy, no judgment here. But if like it's something that you get off your phone doing, you're like, wow, I just wasted all that time. Like I do sometimes, I get off my phone and I'm like, wow, I can't even tell you what I just did for the last 3 hours. I just know that it wasn't anything that brought me meaningful purpose or joy or anything that aligned with my values. It becomes easier to let that go because you find yourself on it and you're like, what am I doing right now? Like, this does not align with what I want to do or who I am or what I want to be doing. And so you can just let it go. And when you have identified your values, when you embody them in your actions and your decisions, it becomes so much easier to stick to your values in challenging situations because suddenly you think to yourself, this job is really toxic and I value a work-family balance. I need something that is for my mental health. I value, a core value of mine is my mental and physical health. This job is deteriorating both of them, or this relationship is deteriorating both of them. I need to get out of this. This is not how I want to live. This does not align with me or my values, my happiness, my authentic self. And it's easy to go, not easy. It's never easy. Things are always going to be challenging, but it is that inch easier, that little millimeter easier to go, I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this. This is not working for me. This is toxic and it doesn't align with me and it doesn't bring me joy and there is no purpose in this. This is just kind of me wasting time. And it becomes easier to let go of those challenging situations. Or like when someone, it can be just as simple also as someone asking you to go spend your entire night out or your entire weekend out partying, drinking, which like, again, if that's something you want to do, no judgment. But if you honestly would rather spend that time doing something else more meaningful to you, going on a hike, eating well, working on your business, spending time with family, friends, or pets, you can, it's easier to go, yeah, no, that weekend sounds fun. And normally maybe I would have agreed because, you know, I had like a fear of missing out on a fun time. But none of what you're describing, that whole weekend, that doesn't align with any of the values that I actually care about. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on this, dude. You go have fun. And I'm going to stay home. I'm going to spend time with the kids, the family, work on my business, work on things that align with me. It becomes that millimeter easier to go, yeah, no, this doesn't work for me. You know, it allows you to navigate conflicts with integrity. Again, reference back to like leaving a toxic job. You're like, I don't know. And you're going back and forth. But once you have clarified to yourself what you are looking for, what you value, and what brings you happiness, you go, yeah, no, this job's not working for me. And honestly, like you have faith in yourself. You can find another job. You can find another relationship and you can find a better one. That's the key here. You can find so much better. You just need to let this go. And once you've identified values to yourself, you can stand firm in those values, even when faced with opposition, even when faced with negative family members who are like, no, you should have stayed at that job. You should have stayed in that relationship. Like, who's going to want you? Where are you going to find a new job? First, cut those people out of your life. But second, now it becomes so much easier to not listen to them because you can think to yourself, no, I made the right choice for me. I'm living my life. They're not living my life and they don't have to live my life. I have to live it. And I don't want to continue living it in this toxic job or in this toxic relationship or in a way that doesn't align with my values. All right, friendships. This is the end of the episode. So I will just quickly recap for you everything that we learned about exploring your authentic self, because it all just starts with you, with the amazing, unique individual that you are. And so if we're for the first time just trying to find out who we are, who our authentic self is, because maybe we haven't been in tune with them for a while, then we're going to start by getting curious. getting curious about ourselves. What do we like to eat? What do we like to wear? How do we like to smell? How do we like to walk? What things do we like to do? If we have an hour of free time in the day, what are we going to do with ourselves? How are we going to enjoy ourselves? It starts with getting curious. And then in that curiosity, getting happy, finding things that excite you, that light you up, that bring you joy, that bring you happiness, that is the closest, that is such a real emotion to the deepest, truest part of you, is that spark of joy and excitement and awe and wonder. So find that. Try all the new things. Try everything that sounds interesting until you find the things that make you happy. And point 3 is to identify values, core values. What do you value? What brings you a purpose and meaning? Do you value family time? Do you value building a business, building purpose? What is it? What are your core values? It's all about just exploring who you are. This is where we start to find our authentic self, is just asking questions, getting curious, finding a spark of joy, finding a sense of meaning, of purpose, of that value where you're like, this is something I will not compromise on. This is something that if I engage with daily will bring meaning to life, to my life. And it's going to look different for everybody. Every answer is correct. Every answer to every question that you have is correct. What brings you joy? Every answer is right. As long as it is not, again, hurting people, it is right. It is correct. That's the right answer for you because it is what brings you joy. All right. So that is our wrap up for this episode. This was episode 7 of the Authentic Self mini series. I am so excited to bring you episode 8. It's going to be more good stuff, just building on what we've already done. But this was just exploring your authentic self, just really good steps. Find journaling prompts that will have you explore authentic self questions. So good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I will bring you a new episode next Monday, of course. Until then, please know we are growing. We are going to stumble. We are going to get up again. We are going to keep going. You are worthy. You are deserving. You are wonderful. You are endlessly fascinating. And I wish you the absolute best this week. Go out there and kill it. I know that you will. So you have a good one, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.